as guys, our job, what is our job in your mind?
Like working to provide for people
That's
and helping people in need.
I love that. Working to provide for people and helping people in need. I think that is probably one of the purest and best ways to say like what our job is, because that is our job. And what can happen, especially when kids are involved and things like that, is it becomes easy to justify neglecting relationships for the sake of making money to take care of that person. And that's what it sounds pretty much is the case, is that he said, well, I'm going to go work in order to do this thing, in order to give something to you that you may not know is from him, but his job is to do this thing, so he's focused on the mission. And the danger that we as guys can fall in, because we're pushed so much to do that, work, provide. You got to make sure like that you're like me as the married man, and me and my wife's relationship. My job is to provide. And by and large, if I were not providing, people from the outside world would look at me and they would say, what kind of husband are you? You're not giving something to your wife. You're not making sure that she's taken care of. In the old days, dude, if I wasn't providing, like,
Men were miners, man. For gold, like,
oh yeah,
they spent like hours on end just taking a pickaxe and a shovel and going at dirt to find something to provide for a family.
Exactly. And so like to go from that to not providing anything, that would be an actual disgrace. But the challenge that we're having now is that now we have it to where, we were told to provide because we were the ones that had to provide, and it wasn't even an option for women to provide. Now we have it to where women can work and women can do their own thing. And so for us, like, with the example with your dad, there was a time where him working and just making the money and then making sure it ended up in the bank account for your mom to use, that would be acceptable. And then your mom takes care of everything at the home. But now you have it to where both parents must work, or one parent isn't in the picture. And so now what has to happen is both parents have to work, and both parents have to be good at both things. Like,
one parent has to be child support because they're not in the kid's life. So he has to work to make the money to provide for my mom to pay bills and phone bills and like beds and houses and keep a roof over my head for me.
Yeah. And so like there is working is necessary still for us, but now it's not enough for us to just work and then send the money and then that's it. Like now that women have to work too, right? Like your mom has to go to college and she has to do jobs and da-da-da-da-da. So now, because before it was one parent does all the work, takes all the stress of the world, and then the other parent takes the stress of the home.
Like my dad always worked. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So that's one thing she was, very good at. That was like her hobby, being a stay-at-home mom. She was always there for us. And my dad, he was always out. But once he I think it was about 6 or 7 months after I was born. My dad had cheated on my mom. And he got with another girl, and after that, I had to go see him every Sunday until every Saturday at 4 p.m. I had to spend the night with him until Sunday. and he just kind of grew away from me. He he stopped coming to get me. Like, my mom worked at a daycare, so I had to go into whatever class I was in for my daycare, and she had to go work to make money. I mean, we've always lived with my grandma. The only time we moved away, I think, was when she got remarried she got married to a guy, and I think I'm not gonna tell you the name. I don't want to expose him. But we moved in. We got an apartment, and then I believe it was 2 years of them being married, or a year. They split up, and then we had to move back in with my grandma because we didn't have any money, and basically we've been in and out of her house for the past 12 years.
So that is completely similar to pretty much my childhood in there as well. And there's no way I could speak to all the specifics of it. The only thing that I could say is that there's always some bit in there that we don't understand about the guy's part. And it's not that it's a bit that justifies it, but there are some things that I understand. Like, my father did similar things as, your father. And like I said, nowadays, our relationship is completely different. Like, when I just got married to my wife, he paid for all the food for the wedding, plus he got an Airbnb for us to stay the night in. Over the years, we have had our relationship, grow and healed and do a lot better. But when I was your age and my relationship with him was distancing, and there were always these times of I'm getting closer, but now I'm further away, and now I'm living with him, but it doesn't really feel like I'm that close with him because all he's doing is working, same thing. And then it's like on the days off, it's sleeping and resting from work, right? Like, there's always a piece to his story that we don't understand now, and that really and truly you're not going to care to understand until you're
older and you're ready to understand
that.
And I feel like the question that carries with kids if their parent leaves is why did you run away from me?
Yeah. And there, I don't want to say that what happened with me and my father is emblematic of all kids, for all kids in that situation. Some kids do have fathers that just were not cut to be fathers, were not ready. But I would say that is not a majority of the time of the cases that happens with. That if there's multiple kids and there was some time spent together, and then things just seem like they suddenly flip the switch once an event like cheating happened, that there's a lot of behind the scenes details that, and you don't need to look and try to understand now or find the answers now. These things will come out over time, and there will be that understanding and growth and healing from it. And hey, there's going to be a day where you get to call your dad out for all the crap that he did, because over the years, there's been conversations with my father where I've said, you did these things and that happened and you were there, and you want to sit here and call me and tell me I need to be acting like this and that, and you haven't even been involved. Those conversations will happen. And then based off of how he responds, that will facilitate a stage of growth or a stage of separation. For us, it facilitated growth and being able to be angry, me being angry at him admit it, and then us being able to get closer through that. But that's something that happens not on our time, but of course on God's time, And the prayer may be just that God works in his heart in a similar way that he's been working in your uncle's heart, that eventually that will happen. But until then, your job is to figure out how to be a man in your own right that knows how to work and the importance of it and contributing to the household and being helpful, but also how to communicate in the ways that your father lacked.